A psychotherapist revealed the two main reasons that adult children cut off their parents, and honestly, they're surprisingly simple. Psychologist Matthias Barker is a Nashville-based therapist, trauma expert, and co-founder of the Trauma Institute. So he knows what he's talking about when it comes to parent-child estrangement. And like so many conflicts, these are often not really about the event that sparks the rift. Like when spouses argue about the dishes, it's very rarely actually about the dishes. And in a video that has unfortunately since been deleted, Barker explained that when it comes to parent-child estrangement, it usually boils down to one or both of two things. One, the adult child feels like they just can't pretend anymore. Of course, the most obvious example of this is someone who's part of the LGBTQ community and has parents who don't accept or support them, something I've experienced in my own life. But there are myriad reasons that someone feels the need to pretend around their parents, from differences over religion and politics, to elephants in the room like childhood trauma or family secrets that many parents refuse to even discuss, let alone own up to and take accountability for. Everyone has their breaking point, and when parents are not willing to be humble and vulnerable enough to simply hear their child out, it gives the relationship nowhere to go unless the adult child agrees to shut themselves down in order to keep the peace. And for many adult children, that choice is devastatingly clear. They decide to walk away instead. Which brings us to number two, they don't know how to manage the conflict anymore without it continuing to hurt them. Barker described this as a sort of death by 1,000 paper cuts, a lifelong series of events that accumulates over time until it is simply no longer manageable. It becomes clear that your parent will never see or hear you, which means the conflict can't be resolved, and estrangement feels like the only option. I've experienced this in my family as well, with a family member I spent years trying to get along with, until their vitriol escalated to a place I never thought possible. They threatened me with violence and challenged me to a literal physical altercation over a differing political opinion, about Sarah Palin of all people. That was way over a line, and so I had to set a boundary. And I let this person know that if they ever wanted to discuss it and make amends, that the door would always be open to them, but they have as yet chosen not to walk through it. The bottom line is that it's very easy to blame the child for the parent-child estrangement, or to assume that there's some sort of social contagion going on that's making everyone go no contact with their parents. Still, nobody takes the decision to sever ties with their parents lightly. It's devastating no matter the circumstances. And regardless of the details, most of the time the antidote could not be simpler. Parents just being willing to be vulnerable enough to listen.